All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Frederator Network's last panel of the weekend. But of course, we're saving the best for last. No offense to anybody else, including my boss, Fred Seibert. Frederator has a huge reputation in the world of animation, obviously. We've produced some pretty great shows over the years, Adventure Time, Fairly Odd Parents, Bee and Puppy Cat, most recently Castlevania on Netflix. But what some of you might not know is that Frederator also manages a lot of really awesome animation YouTube talent. And I am lucky enough to be joined by three of them tonight to kind of talk about the ups and downs of the YouTube world. My name is Marley. I'm a talent and programming manager at Frederator. And let's kick things off with introductions. Tell the people a little bit about what you do. We'll start with you, Christian.
Hey, my name's Christian, but my channel is Circle Tunes HD. You might have seen my stuff. I sort of do animations that are more on the meme side and stupid stuff, but I do video game parodies, quick puppet style MS Paint animations, and yeah, I just another animator, but I try to keep it different.
Ivan.
Hi, I'm Ivan from Ivan Animated. Who would have thought? And I do the same thing. I do a lot of story times and also animated parodies based on games.
Nice. And Jake.
I'm Jake Neutron. I do a lot of everything, but occasionally I'll do animated, like tiny music videos and memes.
And adorable animated end screens. I'm not going to let you not talk about those. So let's kick things off by talking about how you guys got started. I think there are no two career paths that have the most varied and strangest introductions as YouTubers and animators. Everybody has a very different road and path that they've taken, and you guys have chosen to do both. So how did you find yourself into this crazy world of YouTube animation? Circle, we'll start with you.
So I have a really unorthodox way I did it, and it was almost by mistake. So like an insane person, I started on Facebook, so which is the worst. So essentially I started an art page on Facebook, and I was posting like comics and doodles and things like that. And I did that for years. And I kind of fell into making animations and my art related puppet videos that I do now. But that actually started on Facebook. And I was living on the Facebook platform for forever until eventually I migrated to YouTube and found a life there. But I really I grew on Facebook with other art creators there, and Newgrounds primarily is how I got a lot of inspiration. But I took that over and just kind of chucked it over to YouTube with a lot of grinding and years of work, as I'm sure you all know. Eventually found a little home on YouTube. But yeah, I started out on Facebook, which was wild.
Yeah, Ivan, how about you?
So my origin story isn't too different, minus the Facebook part, which is great.
Good.
Same thing, not to knock Facebook, but same thing. Started on Newgrounds, and I was introduced to like things like Ego Raptor and like Oni NG, and I was like, whoa, these cartoons are so cool. But I felt like I didn't really jump into it until I got into like Storytime, like Domics and things like that, like other animators that made animating more accessible, like because Ego Raptor and all these other OG Newgrounds animators, like they're making like amazing stuff, and it was always like super intimidating because I was like,
yeah,
I can't do that. But then you have like Domics who just like, oh, it's just fun stories from work. They're all black and white, and there's like not too much movement. I was like, oh, that's cool. I want to try that, and that's kind of like what kickstarted my career, is just that inspiration of like accessible animations to get into.
Very cool.
Right.
Jake, how about you?
So my YouTube channel's never been focused ever since the beginning of it. It started out as me doing like little short film stuff that I was making like when I was in elementary school with my friends. And then when that phase ended, it was, oh, I want to be a gaming channel. And when that phase ended, I got into MLP and I started learning about animation. So then I was sort of like an animation channel that was doing some music. And then Steven Universe happened. And I was still doing the animations, but then I was also doing dubs. And now I'm at the point where I am right now, where still no focus, but now the focus is cartoons in general.
Mm-hmm. All right, very cool. So Circle, you guys kind of touched on this a little bit. So like how you found your way onto YouTube. Circle, in your case, you had built an audience on something like Facebook. Was it scary for you to consider transitioning over to YouTube? Did you second guess that decision at all?
I would say, because Circle Tunes is my 4th YouTube channel.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
Wow.
we all have those, first tries, second tries buried in the past. I think we all got those. But yeah, at a time I had I think 50,000 followers on Facebook when I had 500 on YouTube, and I would post them on YouTube and I'd be like, hey, go watch it, guys. And it would not get the same reception as it would, on the platform that people were following me on. They'd be like, well, I'm not going to go watch dumbass YouTube. I was like, okay. So, when I tried to build up this platform, I did what Jake said. I did the gaming stuff, and that didn't really, I got sick of doing Let's Plays. So then I finally started just migrating all of my content from Facebook to YouTube. And I think 20 or 30 videos deep of 20 views, 30 views, 20 views. I eventually had one hit 1 million overnight. And I was like, oh, okay, that one stuck. I guess we're going to keep trying to do this. So once I hit that I broke through that barrier, that self-doubt in the YouTube platform kind of just burned away then. And I was like, all right, new home is YouTube.
Nice. Ivan, with coming over from Newgrounds, was there an apprehension there? Because Newgrounds obviously has a reputation for being very animation focused. That's pretty much all that it is, that and games and stuff like that, to moving over to a platform like YouTube, which is, I'm guessing at that point was already so saturated.
Yeah. So the jump wasn't too bad because I didn't have any following on Newgrounds. It was just something I did for fun while I was in middle school and in high school and stuff. So really the big transition was incredibly minor because I didn't really have any videos to migrate either. It was more just starting over with a different mindset, because on Newgrounds, the whole mindset was I got to make something incredible. I have to get it on the front page and it has to look cinematically beautiful and stuff, all these other cartoons that I've been seeing on the front
Or you're going to
page.
get ripped to shreds. The people on Newgrounds are no joke.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, they have a higher standard of quality, which I've come to realize even in my youth. So that's another, driving force to why I kind of moved over to YouTube, because it's a lot more forgiving, I guess.
True,
for a fragile 15-year-old's ego, it's a lot more forgiving. And yeah, the transition wasn't bad. It was honestly just starting over again on a different platform.
Yeah, and Jake, I take it you've been with YouTube from the get-go?
Yeah, I've been I'm trying to remember when the 10-year anniversary of my channel was, but I've been on YouTube since I was a baby.
Crazy.
So I guess for someone like you, did you just grow up with YouTube pretty much around, I guess? Because I think me, Ivan, and Christian are a little bit older than you, so we obviously remember things like Newgrounds and other platforms before YouTube was really a thing. So has YouTube just always been this constant in your life, pretty much?
I think so, because around the time that I was old enough to actually be looking stuff up on the internet and remember that I did, which was around the time that Jimmy to Me Power Hour 2 came out. I remember that was the first thing I looked up on YouTube was Jimmy to Me Power Hour 2. Not much showed up, but that was literally the only way I could look up anything. Was on YouTube.
So is that the origin of the name? Were you just a big Jimmy Neutron fan?
I'm trying to remember. I think it might have actually been an idea given to me by my uncle when I was making my email for my I had to make a Yahoo email.
Yahoo.
When we were trying to come up with what username to put, I think my uncle said something you should do Jake Neutron because you like Jimmy Neutron. Even though the show that I was actually obsessed with was The Fairly Odd Parents. But because Jimmy Neutron, similar to Jake, we stuck with it. And I was like, all right, Jake Neutron. And I've never changed it.
We love the Frederator plug with the Fairly Odd Parents reference.
All wraps around.
So, YouTube and animation have had, we'll say, a tumultuous relationship, to say the best. I remember animation being one of the things that really, really exploded when monetization like really became a thing on YouTube. There were people making like tons of like weird little art films or just like funny little 10, 20-second, 30-second things. But then there was a big shift, and the platform started to favor things like watch time instead of the number of views, and that seemed to almost screw over the animators exclusively. And the platform has evolved in a lot of strange ways, where oftentimes it almost feels like YouTube is actively trying to like fight against the animators. But with that being said, animation continues to persist. It continues to be one of, I think, the most popular genres on YouTube. Ivan, Christian, we were both at VidCon last year, and I think it's safe to say that the animators had the most packed events.
Oh, yeah.
So how have you navigated essentially working for a boss that is constantly fighting back and changing the rules, but not telling you what those rules are once they've changed?
That's a good question.
Christian, I'll toss it to you.
Okay. Lord knows I have so much to say about YouTube. I mean, I made a character demonetization man, so. But so I mean, YouTube is the Wild West. Obviously, I mean there's no end to its reach of weird rules and algorithms. But yeah, for the animation community, it definitely targets it in such a weird way. My channel specifically, the way that I try to fight that is, it's like it really rewards watch time. It really rewards frequent uploads, which as an animator, as you guys all know, is very difficult because animation takes time. And but with my style of animation that I've done, which is I make these puppets and I record them with a camera, I can do these weekly uploads. And I think that was one of the things that helped me in the algorithm, because YouTube saw that and was like, hey, animation channel uploads once a week. That's, hey, you're not supposed to be doing this. So I think little tricks like that, trying to figure out ways that YouTube, the big robot overlord sees you in a special way is can really go a long way.
Very cool. Ivan, how about you?
Yeah, honestly, what Christian said is really everything. It's just you kind of just have to adapt. So like streamlining assets and making sure that you have like not to make bad content, but to like kind of like you have to focus your efforts where it matters. You kind of have to like allocate all your time, especially because it's animation, because you want to get things out in a timely manner. And there are going to be periods where you just can't. Like it's just impossible, especially depending on the project. It's another thing that kind of like helps me figure out like what I want to make. So if I know I don't have a lot of time and I have to get something out for like a sponsor, or I have to get something out within the month, I'll like try and like figure out, maybe it won't be a story time. Maybe it'll be like a parody, or maybe it'll just be like a shorter story. And you just kind of have to you kind of just go with the flow. Honestly, right. Like that's the best, because you never know. The algorithm is so out there. It's like playing a game that you don't know the rules to, and you don't really win too often. It's crazy. So you just really have to adapt, honestly.
Yeah. For Jake, for someone who's been doing it so long and since they were pretty young, how do you feel towards like the algorithm and like its ever changing nature and stuff like that?
I feel like for all the time that I've been on here, I still don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And how to like keep it consistent. With my stuff not being consistent, I've kind of been like, all right, so I can keep still doing multiple things that I enjoy that also people still watch and I get revenue from, but I'm also going to have to figure out other stuff outside of the revenue from ads. So I got into the merchandising stuff. Now I'm able to monetize my music, which is now a way larger portion for that. And awesome. Then also doing commission and freelance stuff is definitely one of the bigger things that keep me afloat when the revenue suddenly drops from being like 500 to 100 in just 1 month because of something that happened, like COVID cut my revenue hard.
Yeah. So something I wanted to touch on that Circle and Ivan, you guys brought up is, having to evolve to please the algorithm. And I think something that came out of that big algorithm shift a couple years ago was the rise of the storytime animator or the meme animator, or just general like various shortcuts to make sure animated content still ended up on the platform, albeit with some compromises. Now there's been some, I guess, animosity in the animation community outside of YouTube, and even some critics on YouTube over that. Some saying that storytime animators aren't really animating, stuff like that, which I personally don't buy into. What do you say in that regard, like to those people?
I think I don't think there's any concrete rules on what animation should be in art in general. Obviously, art is subjective. If you are creating what you enjoy, that should be good enough. That full stop. And storytime animators, they use a lot of the same assets and things that allow them to make these 10-minute long videos. But it ain't easy. I give them full credit for being able to make a 10-minute production. And I'm more on the meme side. My videos range from 1 minute to 3 minutes. None of mine, a few go over 10, but not many. So it's apples and oranges, but both I think take talent in their own way, and I think they both take a good sense of humor and a lot of work that goes with them. So I applaud both styles. Yeah,
Ivan, what about you?
Yeah, you just can't please everyone, man. I don't know.
No. Nope.
Yeah, you're always going to get critics, but I do see both sides. I do see the sentiment. It's like, you have like these really well done videos with like high cinematic quality coming back like years ago, like Bitey of Brackenwood or all these like old school, like Oni NG animations. But like, it's one of those things where, yeah, just going back to the previous question, just kind of something that happens when you have to like adapt. Because I'm sure everybody, like story timers, like the main criticism where like they don't animate, that's not really because they don't want to. It's more just because we can't, like, given these time constraints and just trying to keep up with everything. It's like, of course, everybody wants to make something look the best that they can, but not everybody has the time or the resources or the team. Like some people work with full teams. And then, again, you go back into old like time frames. These old school animators that everybody like looks to for like a basis, they didn't have the most frequent upload schedules either. That's why a lot of them moved to Let's Plays. So there's really no pleasing anybody. It's like, we're trying to give you more animations, but you don't like the quality. We're going to improve the quality, but then you complain that there's like dry spells of videos. So it's like, what do? You just do your best, honestly.
Yeah. Totally. Ego Raptor, who was probably, I would say with confidence, the most popular internet animator ever, completely stopped animating.
Yeah.
So oh yeah.
What are you gonna
do? Jake, what do you have to say to that? I know you're not a storytime animator, but I imagine with the stuff that you do, like obviously sometimes constraints make for compromises and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's been definitely times where I've had to I wanted to make something really pretty and have constant motion. And then I realized that, no, I'm not going to be able to get this actually done if I do that. It's better to work with the constraints that you have and get something actually out, than stressing yourself over trying to make it look absolutely perfect when you can't.
Yeah, and here's another thing for a lot of people, maybe in the audience. I guarantee you a lot of the cartoons and animated movies you like are reusing hella assets, and you just don't realize it, but they do it all the time. I have my degree in animation, and I can't begin to tell you how many times I retraced a frame or I copy and pasted it and then flipped it from another spot because I realized a frame in an old project was going to serve this purpose here. So let's see. So I guess like how do you guys want to see the platform, I guess, evolve in respects to animation as we move into the future? Like, are you guys happy with the spots that you're at right now? Do you want it to change so that maybe we can go back to kind of that, I guess, that old Wild West idea where, like, you know, maybe people aren't uploading as frequently, but you know, we're getting, I guess, that more frame by frame style stuff? Like, where do you want YouTube to, I guess, expand in regards to animation as we move into the future?
I think it's a fence that you have to really figure out, because you know, if you go full on where you don't support watch time as its main driver of the machine, and it's just views, a lot of people are going to have to rely on clickbait, and that's what the biggest problem was when it was just views. You would make the most catchy thumbnail, catchy title, even if the content was terrible, because as soon as you got that click, you got paid. So they need to, going forward, I think for the animation community, they need to reward, you know, people that do click on your video and maybe stay for, you know, the 2 minutes, you know, the full length of 2 minutes if your video is 2 minutes long. And so they should support Let's Players and gamers and things like that. But I think they need to throw a little bit more love to the animation community, but not outright just leave it to views, because again, that can really harm things.
Yeah. Ivan?
I feel like the current climate, I mean, I haven't kept up with it enough, honestly, but like, at least the way I consume content is like a crackhead, where I like watching small, short videos, and I like hop around from video to video. So at least personally, I would like to see more, I guess, more frequent animations that aren't necessarily too long, just so they could come out more personally from my perspective. But I also like understand how that doesn't make money necessarily. Like if you're doing this for like a job, or if this is your main source of income, that's like not entirely feasible. But yeah, from my point of view, I'd like to see it. I like where it is now, but I do think I would like to see more frequency, I guess is what I'm getting at. Like more, like the channels that I follow, it would be cool to see like more stuff, not necessarily higher quality or longer, but just like in general, just pumping out videos.
Yeah, consistency rather.
Yeah, consistency.
Yeah. Jake, how do you feel?
I do kind of wish that the way that YouTube worked was more like putting something out there was more of an investment in effort instead of an investment in time, because even if you make something longer, the quality might have to suffer because of it. And there'd be definitely a lot more kinds of, I feel like, fiction-based animations that were getting popular if the time that it takes to make something like that good was worth being able to work on and put out there.
Right.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I think I've worked with a couple people in the network that have tried to do you know, fiction-based content, so something you know, a little more fantastical, but you know, it just doesn't hit the same way on YouTube the way I think the big problem there is YouTube as a platform is kind of designed to get people invested in the person behind the content more so than the content itself, in a weird way, which feels strange to say. But when you see like the cult of personality that has developed around some of the people on the platform, I can't really think of another way to put it. So everybody has that moment where you know, you're plugging away, and maybe things are getting a handful of views here and a handful of views there, and then one day something just clicks. Do you guys remember what your something just clicks moment was?
I would say yes. So back to my Facebook days, how I kind of came up with my tablet like puppet style of animation that I'm known for was there's a website called PokeDraw, and essentially you would click a button and it would give you a random Pokemon, and you have 45 seconds to draw it. And that was one of my most favorite games. So when I was doing that, I would record it with a camera in one hand, and I would draw out the Pokemon, and I would record like my commentary, and I'd make jokes. And when I made the first episode of that, it got something like 1,000 views, which was a lot for me at the time on my page. And I made a few more, and eventually I think I made Bulbasaur and on Facebook, and I was like, oh, that's pretty good. And I was like, oh wait, it's getting a lot of likes, a lot of comments. I didn't check up on it for a while, and then I read its analytics, and it got 23 million views, and I was like, huh, maybe this is something that people like. So I made a crap load of them until eventually I migrated to that style of doing like my own cartoons in that style rather than just the Pokemon. But yeah, when I realized that style, that kind of puppet thing, and that was hitting that, a new mark, was the moment something clicked, and I was like, I bet I can do this.
Nice. Ivan, what was your big moment?
It was more when like I realized that I was having fun, I guess. So like I've always been making these videos, but and they would do well, and sometimes they wouldn't, and it always like bummed me out. But like the moment like where things actually like clicked for me, and I was like, okay, this is just how it is. It's just like when I was like making a video and I was like enjoying the process all throughout. Like usually, if you ask anybody who makes content, like they either hate like cutting audio or editing the video or actually like the full drawing process. But this one video that I made, I liked the whole thing. The whole process was enjoyable. And that's what really clicked for me, where I was like, okay, just do it because it's fun, not because it'll get views or people will watch it or people will want more. Just do it because you like it. And that's what really kind of clicked for me in terms of my YouTube career.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
I still hate editing to this day. So I am still chasing that feeling. Jake, what was your big moment, especially for someone who's been doing it for so long?
I feel like I've had a few, but my first one would probably be there was this series of animations that I had done based off of this property called Equestria Girls, and they were all just animation tests because I wanted to see how accurately I could try and animate the characters. I was still learning how to do flash puppets, and those like blew up to like the millions, all three of them. And that was probably one of the first moments that I realized, oh, people like animation. But like for some reason, it still didn't like really stick to me that like I could keep doing that. So then there was a lull. And then I made another animation. I forgot what it was. I think it was based off of Doki Doki. And then that one also blew up. And I go, oh, people like animation. Proceeds to continue not doing animation. And then I did one, like this meme based off of SpongeBob of him doing the hit or miss thing. And then that one also blew up and got viral. And I'm like, oh, people like my animations. Proceeds to still not do them. But clearly there's like, those were like moments where I was like, all right, if I were to animate, people like my stuff with that.
Right.
So when was the moment where you finally were like, oh, people like animation, I'm going to keep doing it? Okay. I think I got my answer.
Trying to find it, yeah.
No, I feel like that was probably actually Doki Doki, because when I did the first Doki Doki animation, that was the first time it clicked that I could like both do this, people like it, and there was a way to maybe monetize it, because then I did another animation test, and that one also got like millions, and I was really confused to why it was these videos specifically. And then there were a few other ones that like I released and they didn't exactly hit like a million or 2 million like the other ones, but they were still like over 500K, and I'm like, this could be something I could focus on and people would still like them.
So did you guys, when you guys started out, did you have in your mind's eye that this was going to become a business venture for you? Did it start out as something you were just doing for fun? Did you want it to be a gateway into, I guess, like the more traditional animation industry? Was there a purpose, I guess, when you first started out on this journey that you foresaw for yourself, or were you just kind of doing things for the fun of it?
I think I going on with what Jake said, I started out kind of just, just throwing my art because I enjoyed it. But tackling what he said, I was doing commissions and I was doing, design work, things that would put a little bit of money in my pocket, not, would make me a bajillionaire, but I was like, oh, a few bucks here, maybe some Subway money. And gotta get those, cheesesteaks. And, never in a million years did I think I would be where I am on YouTube. I didn't think I'd get 5,000 subscribers, much less pass 1 million. So never when I was, posting on Facebook or YouTube, was I ever just doing it hoping it would be my career. I do it because I love it. I self-taught my self-animation when I was like 12 because I grew up with cartoons. I grew up with Newgrounds. I loved it. I lived and breathed it. So the business side of it and it becoming what it is icing on the cake, not the cake itself.
Nice. Ivan, how about you?
Yeah, so I started my channel when I was in college, and I was originally going to college in pursuit of like a medical career. I ended up yeah. Did I ever tell you that story?
No.
I'm a licensed registered respiratory therapist in the state of New York. Yeah. Which is like fun to point out because given the current situation of the world.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting that degree, but yeah, I was studying for it in college, but I didn't have a creative outlet. Like it was just medical, anatomy, math, whatever, biology. And I just wanted something to do. I wanted something to like do on the side and see where it goes. And that was YouTube. So that was like the main drive was just do it for fun for now and then see where it takes me. And I think that's still kind of the mentality because like things are going good, but they're also not like super amazing. But because of YouTube, I have been given like a lot of really interesting opportunities, including this one. Like this is great. So yeah, it's more of just something for fun until I guess it becomes a more lucrative, sustainable business. But until then, I'm just going to keep making stuff that I like and keep trying to like, I don't know, get everybody else to like it too. So yeah.
Lorda Shine, sorry if I said that wrong in chat, says, yes, Ivan, I have a degree in health science too, but I went into art instead.
Yes. Let's go.
So you're not alone. Gosh. You got brethren in chat.
You love to see it.
And Jake, you said you started doing this when you were like a kid. Were you trying to become YouTube famous and like make the big bucks back then, or was it just like you and your friends having fun?
I feel like when I was really young and I was making like the IRL funny videos, that was probably just for us. But when YouTube gaming started blowing up and I was into that, I did want to be a famous YouTube gaming person. I even remember trying to get with like TGN or something because they were the ones that were like always in your face that they were the popular ones. But then as I continued with YouTube and I got more into animation and such, I was like, all right, I do want to turn this into a business and I do want to make money. But now instead of it kind of just being, I just want to be popular, it was more like, I want to be able to fund the things that I make. I want that to be what I grow up doing, being able to just make stuff and that have that be my life.
Yeah. So do you guys think going in, like, which mindset, like someone comes to you and says they want to start a channel, but which mindset do you think that they should move into it with? Should they like be tackling it as a business from the get-go, or should they just be doing it for fun at the start? Specifically like within the world of animation where, content takes, longer to get out there because it's a lot more intensive than some of the other stuff.
I would say, even if outside of animation, YouTube in general, I would say if you're going to start a channel, don't only start it if you want it to be your livelihood, if you want to make, a year's wage that can sustain you, because you're going to set yourself up for failures and you're going to have failures. Every single channel does. Like I said, I'm on my 4th channel. Okay. I know it's like to have channels where you work on for years and they do nothing. So, and that puts you in a position to get hurt, because if you put, your craft out there and it doesn't do what you want it to do, monetarily or views wise, you're going to get hurt. So the primary focus you should have, like Ivan and Jake said, is the love for it. You have to, and people can respect that. When you watch a channel and you can tell someone loves that craft, you want to follow them. But when you can tell that someone's just playing the algorithm or doing something because they want to get the most views, it seems disingenuous. So I think the love should 100% come first, because that can find the success.
Yeah. Ivan, how about you?
Yeah, just to reiterate, yeah, you don't want to go into this with the mindset that you're gonna hit it big and it's just gonna be like, yeah, fame and money and sponsors like left and right.
You're in for a rude awakening.
Yeah, you're gonna go bankrupt or something. Like, you can't really go into this whole like YouTube and social media influencer thing expecting things to go your way 100%. Like, that's never the case, never. So you really just have to just do it because you like it, and then that'll really show. Like, it's more like what's the word? Yeah, I don't know. It just comes off as like robotic or like, yeah, disingenuous if you just try to do it because you want money and not really because you enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I guess that's like the best advice I could give for anybody who wants to get into it. Just do it because you like it, not because you think you'll make it big, you know?
Yeah. And Jake, how do you feel, Mr. Young business tycoon over here?
I feel like you can go into it wanting to turn it into a business, partially wanting to be famous, partially just because you want to find a way to be able to make money. But like, you're going to have to really go into it knowing that it's going to be super, super hard. That like, for some people, it might be instant because it might just be a mixture of luck and just being there at the right time. And sometimes it will just take years because you just haven't figured out what it is. People aren't looking for what you are delivering yet. And you're just going to have to be able to be patient, like very patient with this kind of stuff. And also make sure that you're like enjoying it, because you're not going to be able to be patient if you hate doing it.
Yeah.
Dude, could you imagine being an animator and hating animating with how long of a process it is?
Oh my gosh.
Don't talk about it like that.
So to kind of play off that theme of patience and just knowing that it's going to take your time, it seems like a big part of like, or a big help in that is the community that you definitely surround yourself with. And I don't think I've seen any community that's tighter on YouTube than the animation and like cartoon communities. You know, I see you guys collabing all the time. I see you guys like uplifting each other or like just messing with each other in fun ways on Twitter. I mean, I'm in Discord chats in some of these groups, and it's amazing to see the way you guys lift each other up. How did you guys get involved with the community that you surround yourself with, and like how important have they been on, I guess, this journey for you?
I think really important. To kind of echo what we said about animation communities, I think we're so tightly knit because we're so passionate for our craft. You know, not saying that gamers or vloggers aren't, but you know, you put your heart and soul into a cartoon, man, or your artwork or your comics and things like that. And I know from being an artist, you know, if you see something on Twitter, you know, pixel art or a logo design, so anything, you look at that and you're like, oh my God, that's awesome. I want to do that. You know, you just love ingesting art and hopefully producing stuff that people like. So being tightly, you know, weaved in a community that uplifts each other can do wonders for your self-esteem, for your productivity, for your creativity. You know, looking at what I was making 5 years ago and what I'm making now, I'm definitely influenced by my friends in the art world, you know, and they're influenced by me. And it's good to be, you know, mixing up like that.
Yeah. Ivan, I'm really curious to hear your answer on this because you're like associated with a big group of animators. In fact, my first or second day of work at Frederator was the big like kindergarten meetup. I was like super overwhelmed. Here I am. I literally just moved back to New York the day before. So I had like uprooted my life, and here I am, my second day at Frederator, and I see you coming in with like this huge group of animators. Like you seem to be like super community focused. So like, how has that journey been for you?
We'll make this story super quick because it's a long story, but
hey man,
it's a fun story.
We got like 20 minutes.
Okay. So I love this story because the way I got involved in the community was out of necessity, because at the time, the whole story time genre wasn't super big. It was getting there. I think James had just hit like a little over 100K, and then you had everybody else, Jaden, Tony V Tunes, and then Blackson, all these other creators like on the rise. So, but because they're reaching that popularity, other people wanted to try too, and that's where I was like, okay, I want to find other creators, because they kind of like established this whole like group. Kind of, they called themselves like the animation squad, and I was like, well, that's cool. Like, I want my own cool group of friends. So, but the issue was at the time, because the genre was a little more new and niche, a lot of the people, like, you couldn't find anybody. You couldn't find that too many people who were doing the same thing. And if you did find somebody, they were like 14 years old. And I was like, well, I'm in college, and I don't think this is an appropriate relationship for me to have. I mean, we are doing the same thing, but I don't know if I could talk to you like that. So the way I got involved in the community was because I found older animators of my age. So it started with YouTunes or Darren, and then it was also like Tabs and Ginger Pale was another one. These were all like kids in our like 19, 20 years old. We all just came together and started this group chat. And then that's kind of like what happened with Kinder, is there weren't that many people that we knew of. So we just kind of like kept to our own. But of course that eventually expanded out, and as people, you know, found other groups, which is like completely fine. But yeah, that's how it started. It was more just like out of necessity to find other like-minded individuals to like bring you up and to work on things. And that's been going for a while. Like, I still keep in touch with a couple people from that group, even though everybody's gone on to do like bigger and better things, which is great. I love seeing it. But yeah, that's basically how I got involved.
So I mean, but that's super cool. Like, you personally needed something and thought it could be of benefit to other people. So instead of like looking for it, you just decided to do it yourself.
So that was actually YouTunes. He did that. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that channel, but Darren or YouTunes, he
Shout out
started.
to Darren.
Yeah, shout out to Darren, the grandfather of this whole thing. So he just rounded everybody up. He rounded everybody up above the age of 17 and was like, hey, we're going to have this group chat. We're going to hang out. We're going to build each other up and just like watch movies, play games, and make videos. And that's how it started. And, you know, it was really fun. It's still fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's amazing, man. Jake, how is you know, the community of, I guess, fellow content creators played into your journey?
I feel like before I had joined in their group, it was mainly just kind of me and Kitten Sneeze, mostly building off of each other. We had kind of left the fandom that we were previously in, not because we consciously left, but just because we like had moved away from MLP. But like, in regards to us on YouTube, we really could only inform each other on that kind of stuff. And we would see, I would see people like Mike Cat SU and Toon Ruins and Ostrich Vox tweeting at each other. And I was mutuals with them, but I wasn't like, I hadn't become friends with them just yet.
Oh, I know that struggle.
And like, I forgot which
follow each other, and then you're like, should I talk first? Should they talk first?
The back and forth.
And I forgot which one of them reached out to me first and like invited me into their cartoon community Discord server. But when I finally joined in there, I was able to make way more friends with content similar to me. The kind of support that they were giving each other, I was able to finally get as well, and also give. We can inform each other on what kind of things, like when YouTube was like having a slump, it wasn't me thinking, oh no, I'm just doing bad. It's like, no, that's just kind of something that happens during this period of the year. Or when a sponsorship would come by, we'd be able to tell, am I being gypped here or is this fair? Because on my own, I wouldn't have any of that kind of knowledge. And some people in that server also didn't have that kind of knowledge, and they have a space where we can discuss that stuff. And we also inspire each other. We share ideas. We ask for assistance. Sometimes we commission each other. We like support each other financially.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have that. And I wouldn't have that kind of stuff if I hadn't been able to join that kind of community with them. I would still be kind of alone. I also brought Kitten Sneeze with me into that server too, because it's just those kind of benefits. People should be able to benefit each other when they're in that kind of situation.
Yeah, real quick, I just want to apologize if you hear any rattling in the background. I have both of my cats locked in my room, and the kitten is definitely had it right now. So I just want to give a shout out to my wonderful girlfriend who's also trapped in there with them, keeping them under control right now.
That's great.
So, what would you say to, I guess, a newish YouTuber who's finally starting to get some traction and is looking to, either hop into an existing community or start their own? Like, what's the best way for someone to go about it? Because I imagine there's a million wrong ways to do it.
I would say definitely, obviously, use Twitter and Discord as your resource. Find these communities, hop into them, but do for others before you ask for yourself, because a lot of times people join these Discords and they'll be like, oh, let's do a collaboration, let's do this, let's do that, and they want, and that's great and all, but it comes off as someone that just not a user, but just someone that just wants to benefit without giving back. So the best advice I can give is join these communities, reach out to people, and give them advice on some of their artwork, or reach out and say, hey, if you want a background done, I would love to try to help you, or give advice on how I would do that background. So when you see these communities, try to, give to them before you, try to get stuff out of them. It just makes everyone love you more, I think.
Yeah. Ivan, what do you think?
Yeah, I feel like it just has to be a very organic thing. Like, you don't want to go in, right, and just kind of look like a clout chaser, where you're just trying to find the biggest personality and just leech off of them. You really just want to be just a decent person. It's almost like you're walking into a room or a party and you just want to have a conversation with somebody, or exchange art, information, different tips. Just really, I want to say be yourself, but also be very cordial. Be very mindful of how you're portraying yourself and things like that. Don't be too pushy, because I know you mentioned, Marley, there's 100 or 1,000 bad ways to do it, and that's one of them, is to just go into somebody's DMs and just mercilessly bother them to no end, or just ask
please.
for collab, please. Yeah. Oh my God, that's not how you do it. It's just you want to be a decent person, I guess, is the best advice I could give.
Definitely. Jake, how about you?
I really can only just agree with them that you don't want to force things, because it's gonna happen naturally. People who are creative gravitate towards each other, and if you just be patient, vibe with them, make jokes with them, and not try to respect each other's boundaries, it's gonna happen naturally.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a YouTube animator, but I remember one time we had, we reached out to a channel to join Frederator, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But his response to me was if you can ensure me a collaboration with Domix, I'll join your network. And this dude had 1,200 subs.
You're yeah, yep, first on the list.
That power.
To have that confidence, man.
Yeah.
My gosh.
I gotta give him some credit. That's
Hey, you gotta shoot your shot. So yeah, speaking to Frederator, and I hope this isn't a little uncomfortable for you guys as the representative of the network, but how has it been working with us so far in your journeys? I think the MCN space, and rightfully so at times, gets a lot of hate, and there's a lot of vitriol and ill will towards it. But you three are all obviously signed with us for a reason. So what's the relationship been like working with us so far?
Oh, it's just the word. No.
Oh no!
Cancel.
Mute him.
No, it's been excellent. I think I've told you guys before. You guys are my third MCN, and I'm definitely the last. You guys have been so helpful, from the little things hey, how can I stop my channel from being demonetized? Or hey, you reaching out and taking me to events, or these cool things. right here. This is another good example of, just something amazing. I think transparency is huge, and with a lot of MCNs, that doesn't exist. And you guys, we're family knit here. We can vibe with each other. We're all genuine people. We're all transparent, and that's not what you get, with a lot of MCNs. So I love you guys. I love Frederator. Can't speak your guys' praise enough.
Thank you. Ivan, I feel weird going around being like, talk about us now.
So,
what do you think, Ivan?
So, trying to check look over the shoulder real quick. No, I've been, honestly, from the beginning, right? Frederator's like had.
You've been signed with Frederator longer than I've been an employee of Frederator.
For years. Yeah, I've been there since. I want to say
Fire Marley.
2015, late 2015, early 2016, I think is how long I've been with Fred. But even from the beginning, like as a smaller creator, I think what really set me up or like set my whole like thing was like the fact that the network kind of just like believed in me and like all my friends, and we were all just these small nobodies. We were nobodies, but like Frederator like went out of their way to set up a meet and greet with us, channels with like 5,000 subs, 10,000 subs. But you guys were just like, hey, let's set up a meet and greet. It'll make it fun. We'll pay for everything. It'll be at the YouTube space. I was like, whoa, like they really believe in us. And then, yeah, and it also goes back to like smaller things too, or just like quick questions about like videos and monetization or sponsors. Like it's always been nothing but helpful. It's like talking to a real person and not an automated email, I guess is why I really appreciate this. It's like,
hey, YouTuber.
Yeah, exactly. I get a genuine response and it's always like quick. Like I could just hit you guys up and it's like, okay, cool. Thanks for helping me out with my problem. I mean, that's the big thing. It's like everybody sees MCNs as these large, greedy corporations, but like there's some of them, there's a lot of ones like that, but like Frederator is definitely does not lean towards that. Not even close,
Jake?
So like, I've only been with 2 MCNs. This would be the second one. The first one that I was with was more geared towards gaming and was not a good fit for me at all, despite that they were like, along with that, they were also really hard to communicate with. And my friend Kitten Steves was also with them, and she had a very terrible falling out with them at the end of her time with them. But in contrast, when I went with Frederator was already centered around the stuff that I was like, I love that I do, the cartoons and animations. So that was already a great fit. And then while here, I kept getting more opportunities. I like was able to make more friends with people who do similar content to me. This MomoCon thing, I would have never dreamed to be able to like be able to be in something like this at what I feel like is still so early for me. And without Frederator, I just feel like Frederator was just a perfect fit for my kind of channel.
Yeah, well, I think something you guys all did that sometimes channels that do sign with MCNs don't necessarily do. You all took advantage of the resources. And I'm sure there are lots of MCNs out there that maybe don't offer as personalized of a touch, so maybe it's a little harder to take advantage of the resources. But like I've interacted with all of you on a regular basis, and you're emailing me about events like this. Ivan, you and I are planning something with some other YouTubers that we can't really go into too much detail about right here, but like you guys proposed that to us. Christian, you're emailing me about sponsorships and stuff like MomoCon. Like you're taking advantage of the tools that we make available to you. So for any, I guess from a managerial perspective to any potential new YouTubers in the audience, do your research on a network before you sign with them. You definitely make sure that they're going to be a good fit for you. And then, join with that knowledge in mind and really take advantage of like any resources that they've got. We are getting our 5-minute warning. So, do you guys mind if I grab some Q&A from the chat? All right. Yeah. So QT, who I want to shout out, who has been at all 4 of the Frederator panels, so far this
So-
weekend. Shout out to you, Cute. He asks, is it harder to show off animation for adults than it is for kids on YouTube? And Christian, once again, with a character like Demonetization Man, I'm gonna throw it to you.
I think YouTube kind of, it started out really adult with like the Ego Raptors, the Onis, the Psychic Pebbles, and then it almost scooped down with some, younger audiences, some relatable things, some story time videos. But I think it's starting to pick back up for kind of like adult humor, some video game stuff, some older games. So I think there's no wrong way to do it. But I myself and a lot of creators that I know make content with a lot of adult jokes, and we do just fine. So whichever way you want to do it, I think just go ahead and do it. Nice.
Ivan, what's your view on that?
Oh man, so I've always been,
your content is like towing that line, man.
so I'm always trying to push it towards that, because that's what I want ultimately. I want to be as unapologetic and uncensored as possible, because I have all these jokes and like I want my channel to be a reflection of my sense of humor, which probably isn't the best for YouTube. Well, I know it's not the best. I know it's not. But yeah, like you kind of just have to, with YouTube, you have to kind of like teeter that fine line. It's like, what can you get away with, and is it worth getting away with? That's the biggest mentality when you're doing like adult themed content. And also like it is hard because I have this younger audience that I wasn't trying to get, but now I have it, and I'm like, oh no, like, am I allowed to joke about this? Like, I know the demographic, but then I'm still like, would it be so funny if I made this joke? But I'm like, somebody's mom. I've gotten DMs where people are like, my mom doesn't like you, but I'll still watch your videos, and I'm like, great,
right. Chat asked to see the cats.
Oh,
nice.
The other cat is new, and she does not enjoy being picked up yet. But this is my hairless cat, Momo. No relation to the convention.
Yeah, right.
Perfect.
Jake, what about you? I don't think your content is particularly adult, but has there been like a moment where like maybe you want to push that agenda a little bit more, or push that line, but you kind of have to like roll things back?
So ever since the yellow demonetization thing showed up, it's always been kind of confusing, because one of my main series is parody dubs, and I'm always cussing, always making dirty jokes in them, and YouTube kind of doesn't always recognize that that's what's going on. So it's like sometimes it will get like a yellow chipmunk, and I'll be like, oh well, I can't do anything about that. And sometimes it would stay green. But I've always just kind of kept it where like I'll make raunchy jokes, but not too raunchy. Like the characters will cuss, but they won't say slurs. And they'll make sex jokes, but they're like so low level,
Entry level sex,
and they happen so fast that it's kind of like that's not even the focus.
Right.
Yeah. Very cool. So I'll take one more question from the chat. We've got 2 more minutes left. And I think this is a really interesting one. Lori to Shine. Once again, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. What are some ways that you think illustrators can get involved with the animator community? I adore animation, but I don't really have an interest in doing it myself, but I would love to try to contribute.
Going back to almost what I said about jumping into communities, everyone, if your illustrations are for backgrounds or maybe storyboarding, there's so many steps to the animation process that animation is 1% of it. So you can really give into any community or any animation community with illustrations and help in so many ways that you don't need to be a part of the animation process to help. So yeah, just jump in, ask what people need, how you can help out, and see what they need from you. You'll find that a lot of people need a lot of things.
Yeah, if you can draw, you're good. You should have nothing to worry about.
Very nice. All right. Okay. All right. One more very quickly. We'll do this lightning round. Just one name. Who inspires you?
Studio Trigger. It's not a name. It's not a person. It's a studio.
All right.
Frederator? Is it Frederator?
We'll take it.
We have so many good people in here.
Jan Animations.
Okay. So that is the end of the animation panel. If you guys want to take a second to let people know where they can find you and find your stuff.
Hey, I'm CircleTunes HD. Thanks for coming to the stream. You can find my stuff on CircleTunes HD on YouTube, CircleTunes HD on Twitter if you want more stupid stuff. And yeah, check out my stuff. Thanks for coming.
Same thing. You can find me on YouTube as Ivan Animated, and Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever. It's just Ivan GBM. And yeah.
Cool.
Jake Neutron, you can find me on pretty much everything, mainly YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Those are like my main three.
Okay. And you can find Channel Frederator Network on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just look up Channel Frederator Network or Channel Frednet. We're sure to come up. If you want to follow my personal accounts, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm Rebellious Ewok, no underscores, no spaces. Opinions and views are my own, not that of my employer. I want to give a big shout out to MomoCon for pulling this amazing event together this weekend. It's been really cool to see that happen. So shout out to Chris and Victor and Sam, who have been like operating these panels all weekend. It's meant a lot to me, and I think to a lot of the Frederator community as well. And we look forward to hopefully being in person next year. So I think it would be appropriate to end the very last panel with the Frederator motto, as corny as it is. So if you guys don't mind indulging me, I'll count us.
Yeah.
Got you.
I'll count us in 3, 2, 1. Frederator
loves you.
Bye, everybody. Good night.
Bye.
When we see each other in person, our hair